Hi everyone, I'm Barry Silver with Channel 17, and I'm joined in the studio today by Dennis Moynihan, who is the BTV Ignite Executive Director. And we're here to talk about BTV Ignite and technology in Burlington and an upcoming series of events called Burlington, or actually it's not Burlington, it's just Innovation Week. A lot of the events are happening in Burlington, but not exclusively. So welcome, Dennis. Let's get started. And I think the best place to start is probably with a little bit more about Burlington BTV Ignite, and then also about yourself. You've only been here since June is when you...
I got here in June. And so, Barry, it's good to see you, and thanks for the chance to talk about BTV Ignite and Innovation Week. Let me talk about the event, and then I'll talk about how I got here.
Okay.
BTV Ignite is a nonprofit here in Burlington, spun up by a lot of the key stakeholders in our community who are all trying to make Burlington and Vermont a stronger and better place. And the organization is created in a large part to take advantage of our world-class digital infrastructure, which includes our gigabit internet, which we have throughout the entire city of Burlington, but also a lot of the innovations that are coming out of our research partners and whatnot. And so it's a great organization. It's because it's sponsored by the city, by Burlington Electric, by UVM, Burlington Telecom, and others. I don't work for any one organization here in town. I work for all the organizations. So it's a very great opportunity to tie people together and help people collaborate a bit more. You're right, I've just joined. I started in June. Love it. Came on purpose to Vermont. I'm a born and raised Michigander, but for the last 10 years, I've been living in London.
Wow, that's so you came across the pond
on purpose.
Chose Burlington.
Yeah, when I went through my interview, there were a few questions of, do you know where you applied? Yeah, and then eventually, do you know that we get a winter? And I said, you know, I can fix a snowblower with mittens on. I'm a Michigander. Right. I'll be just fine. So I'm really, really, really excited to be in town. I was doing something similar. I was working on innovation projects and entrepreneurship and startup acceleration in London in a pan-European project. And there's a lot of that we want to do here in Burlington.
Which is really exciting because certainly there's a lot of differences between Burlington and a metropolitan city like London. So when you're talking about Burlington's tech ecosystem, you know, that may come as a surprise to some people. Like, why are we a gigabit city, and what does that mean? Sure. And, you know, we're called BTV Ignite, and I know there's also an initiative that's larger than that, the US Ignite initiative.
Sure.
So can you talk about that? Why Burlington? Why are things ripe in Burlington for this type of innovation?
Well, I think that's a great question because that is exactly why I came. Yeah, a bit more about my background and what makes it so exciting to be here is, as I mentioned, I'm a Michigander, actually a blue-collar kid from Detroit. And I watched what automation and globalization did to the manufacturing sector in the middle class, you know, in my hometown in Detroit. And throughout my career, I've been doing a lot of work on tech, and more recently, I've been doing work on artificial intelligence and on robotics. And I'm very sensitive to the fact that more disruption is coming to the world of work. More disruption is coming to the jobs we currently have. It's creating new opportunities, but it's creating new challenges. And part of that is that we see folks thinking that the only way you can get ahead, perhaps, is to be in a big city. We see this huge draw to San Francisco or Boston or New York, my case previously in London. Mm-hmm. And that's only a fraction of what makes America great. There's a lot of the rest of America. And you know, disruption is threatening smaller communities and smaller states. But I want to see how we can make disruption happen for us and not happen to us. And Burlington is one of the greatest places in terms of the assets we have to make that happen. You know, we have great educational institutions, UVM and Champlain and Norwich and Middlebury and others. We have a tremendous amount of grassroots and community organizations that are helping people with jobs and skills and whatnot. And we've had a lot of acceleration in terms of new businesses starting. Everyone knows our success stories like Dealer.com, but we have a lot of young folks doing more. And I think Burlington, first of all, can really seize that, weave that together and make something great happen. But I also think that we can be a thought leader for the rest of America. I've done a lot of work in the Midwest before I'd spent time in London. And I've been to a lot of towns that kind of feel left behind. And I hope that we can create some examples of how you get ahead wherever you are.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not just about being able to work remotely. This is really much, much bigger than that. And it's about education, and it's about creating opportunities for businesses to start and grow. And so can you talk about that a little bit more and some of the specific ways that BTV Ignite is? Sure.
Because BTV Ignite, a lot of people have wondered exactly what it is, the organization does, because it is covering so many different angles. And there's several different areas of focus that we're working on, a number of great ideas and great initiatives. One is to make sure that people can launch and particularly grow businesses here in not only Burlington, but the entire state. And those are, for my focus, primarily tech and digital businesses, but really how tech and digital can support any kind of business. So helping people grow. But that also leads into taking advantage of the technology that we have to help advance R&D and help our standing of our research organizations, help people create and innovate, because that tends to lead to the startups and the businesses. It also is about addressing the tech talent gap, helping people create new jobs, and also develop the skills to be able to take advantage of those new jobs. We don't want to have people not be able to seize the opportunities that we're trying to create. But it's more than that. It's helping Vermonters feel that they have a future here, that they can grow. So we're working on STEM initiatives with the local schools, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and also to how digital can support the arts. And lastly, I think weaving that all together, what we want to do is create a real reputation for Burlington as a hotspot of innovation, a hotspot of entrepreneurship. We see places across America like Austin, Texas, which has built a reputation. And there's no reason why we can't do that in our own way. We're a little bit smaller than some of the other places.
In terms of scale, there's certainly a difference.
We've got great stuff. And scale works to our advantage sometimes, because you can get all the people who are doing great things around the same table and work together, I think, a lot easier than you can, certainly where I was in London and other places.
So let's talk about how we're going to be working to get people around the table in next week?
Exactly. So Innovation Week, this is our second annual Innovation Week. My predecessor, Mike Sherling, brought a lot of people together and launched Innovation Week last year. He's, of course, moved on to be our Secretary of Commerce and Community Development. But Mike's going to actually be joining us this week. So Innovation Week is a series of more than 20 events that are highlighting not just what we're doing, but the opportunities for people to get engaged. And so there's several different themes. There's a whole series of sessions on launching and growing businesses. Particularly next Tuesday morning, we have a whole series of sessions called Homegrown, where we're going to be having people who've been successful talk about how they did it, where they're going, and what they're looking for from partners in the community.
And Channel 17, I think, will actually be covering that event. There are a couple of other events that we'll be recording. So if you can't make it to that particular event, if it conflicts with your schedule, tune in to Channel 17, either on TV or online.
We're very happy to have you covering it. Of course, we want people to come too. So
and they're all free. So
they're all free, and we try to make sure that everything is set up in a way that people who come can get something out of it. We're doing it with an audience perspective, so that it's not just coming and listening to other people, but everything is set up with Q&A, everything is set up to present opportunities. And around that, we have a couple of sessions on how work is evolving. We're going to have a session, in fact, two are back-to-back. One is on how remote work, telework, creates opportunities. People say that across the country, they wish they could live in a place like Vermont, but keep their job. Well, people can do that. And more importantly, if you're a Vermonter and your employment is evolving, it's great if you can get a job anywhere in the world and get to stay here and have the Vermont quality of life that we all know so well. But on top of that, we're talking about how organizations like Vermont High Tech help people retool and completely change their skill sets so they can take new jobs. So jobs, we're going to have a launch of an organization called the Burlington Code Academy, which is a new education. It's something called a boot camp, coding boot camp, which is quite popular in places like Boston and London. But it's a couple young entrepreneurs who are launching a world-class version of that here in Burlington because they think it's a great place. I think you'll see that next week. A lot of people are really excited about the opportunities here, and Innovation Week is a way of showcasing them and getting people connected to do more.
Right, and I just want to put a plug out for the website, which is btvignite.com. People can find information about Innovation Week. We also did a show that was a preview of all the upcoming events, so look for that.
Yeah. Please, if you go on the website, you can RSVP for any of the events. They're all free. They're all generally in town, although we have a session at Middlebury.
And then also there's a tech crawl in Winooski, is that right?
In Winooski. So that's great.
Yeah.
And a couple things, if you're available on Tuesday night, we're having our keynote session. You mentioned in one of your earlier questions about US Ignite. And at the keynote, which is Tuesday night at the UVM Alumni House, we're going to have the CEO of US Ignite, Bill Wallace, come and join us, along with Mike Sherling, who's going to speak from the state perspective, Jill Jemison from UVM, who is the BTV Ignite technical director, and I'll even have a few things to say. But we're going to be talking about how a gigabit city creates opportunities, and Bill's going to be speaking about how that's worked on a national front. You asked the question, BTV Ignite is focused here in Vermont. We're Burlington-centric, but we're not limited to Burlington. We look at how we support things across the state. But we're part of a family of similar communities like Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Albuquerque, and others, who also have high-speed networks. And we collaborate to create new uses of the network and to take advantage of those new ideas across our space. I'm doing some work, for example, around STEM education, building a community so that we can take our students and help them explore an entire world of virtual experiences using that kind of network connectivity.
Great. Well, we just have a few minutes left, so what else do you want people to know about either BTV Ignite or Innovation Week?
Well, I think the best way to get connected with us right now, because there's so many things going on, is I really hope people can come out to the events across Innovation Week. Again, we've got room. Many of them are filling up, but please RSVP if you can. But we're happy if you just walk in. It's a lot of fun to kind of do an Innovation Week crawl. And that'll give a sense of some of the things we're working on. But going forward, you're going to see a lot of initiatives coming out from BTV Ignite. We're doing a lot of projects. It's not quite ready to announce yet because there's a lot of different partners who are coming together, but we hope to do great things around technology, connect with our agricultural experience here in Vermont, STEM training and everything.
Great. But the only thing I was thinking of was just in terms of the list of events. I know that there's even an event at Echo.
Indeed.
So really when you said that there is something for everyone, I mean, it sounds like there's something for families and venture capitalists. So people should really go to the website, check out the events, see what interests them, and come out. It's free, and it's a great way to really have I think, more in-depth and deeper understanding of what technology is and how it can make all of our lives better.
You're absolutely right, and the thing I would add to that is they're all set up, or many of them are set up in a way to allow people who attend to meet each other. And so a lot of it is about building a much stronger community and building some lasting links that will help everybody.
Great. So job hunters come out as well.
Absolutely.
There's great opportunity here in Vermont. So thank you so much for taking the time to fill us in about you and what it means to be an Ignite city, and then also to tell us more about Innovation Week, which is October 13th through 21st.
Great. Thanks, Barry. Thanks for the chance to do this. I really appreciate it.
Great, Dennis. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.
Imagine you're in a STEM program in Burlington, Vermont, and you're learning from someone at an aquarium in Chattanooga. You're in Seattle. You need a world-class surgeon, but that world-class surgeon is in Burlington. You could jam as a musician on a Friday night from a club downtown with folks all over the country.
Leaders of US Ignite came in, they're looking at everything we had, and they're like, you don't realize what you have. We've seen other cities that are trying to do this. You have it.
There are very few fiber-to-the-home builds in the United States. We have a very unique opportunity.
We will have a better technology infrastructure than most of the big cities in America. There'll be no reason to need to live in a big city.
Really, the simple idea was that if we got people from throughout the city together to talk about our tech future, we would get there faster and better.
Burlington is open for business now more than I've seen it in my 10 years at the helm of the Chamber. This is our future. It's not going to be mills and traditional manufacturing. It's going to be advanced manufacturing, biosciences and engineering, technology development, the intellectual property based on the intellectual density that this area has to offer.
Communities that put in fiber tend to create more innovation and more growth in the economy.
The core partners for the Ignite initiative cut across all the sectors.
It's one of those things that a lot of cities are not figuring out how to do well. That partnership between the academics and the commercial sector, we need that.
Dealer.com and Seventh Generation started as very small businesses. There are dozens of those same businesses that are going to lead Burlington into the future.
Generator is a design and fabrication sandbox. We seek to bring any idea through the prototyping process and into a finished product, as well as to entrepreneurs who are trying to build a business. One of the most important things that BTV Ignite does is it helps connect Ignite cities across the US. And what we are as a small community-based makerspace is not connected.
To link with these other cities, collaborations between industry and startups and academia are really valuable because you get different perspectives that allow for new types of innovation.
Teams that have women or diversity in general perform better, and they make cooler things. We wanted to see the change of gender dynamics in the technology fields now, not wait 20 years for the current crop of middle schoolers.
We're charged with preparing our future workers. So we need to develop strategies in a way that's going to be connected to the real world.
We built this cybersecurity application. Essentially, we can provide instant access to law enforcement or to any other corporate client. We can provide instant response when there's a missing child. And most people across the country can't say they can do that.
One of the things that I look at is cascading blackouts. And when a couple pieces of the power grid fail, sometimes that causes other things to fail, which causes other things to fail, which causes other things to fail. And so we're trying to bring sophistication and coordination to loads in the power grid without having to create a really complicated centralized management system.
If we're going to be successful in rebranding the city to build a tech ecosystem that is really an economic driver, it is everyone from kindergartners to the CEOs invested in pulling in that unified direction.
Burlington is a lightweight boxer that punches in the heavyweight class. We're a city of 40,000 or so. We play in leagues with cities that are 500,000 to 2 million people.
Being in a place where you can be surrounded by innovative people, but also people who appreciate a high quality of life, people who enjoy hiking and enjoying your family and people and friends.
There's no question that BTV Ignite brings energy and enthusiasm for the tech economy in a state that's principally defined as rural.
We welcome Burlington as the newest member of US Ignite, and we look forward to working with all of you to invent the future.